Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Alpha and World Bank webinar on Reshaping Professional Accountancy Organization, or PAO, to support public financial management. My name is Monica Nabilia. I'm from Alpha Secretariat, and I'll be your MC for today's session. I would like to greet our honorable guests, Bapak Janwarto Alamsyah, the Alpha Executive Director, Ibu Patricia McKenzie, Practice Manager, Financial Management East Asia and Pacific Region, World Bank. Our panelist and moderator for today, Michael Puskarik, the Director, Public Sector Accounting CPA Canada, Mr. Alex Fabian Teixeira, General Coordinator of Accounting Standards Applied to the Federation at the Brazilian National Treasury Secretariat, Mr. Tan Boon Xiong, Group Director of Treasury, Financial and Sustainability Reporting Standard Analytics from the Accountant General's Department, Bapak Heri Subo, Chair of Public Sector Accountants Compartment, or KSPIAI, and Ibu Jiwanka Wikamashing, Lead Financial Management Specialist, the World Bank, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today's session brings together thought leaders, experts, and representatives from professional accountancy organizations, government, and development partners. All are committed to advancing the role of accountancy profession in strengthening public financial management and enhancing public sector reporting. This webinar aims to explore how PAO can adapt, innovate, and build stronger capacity to support government in improving transparency, accountability, and the overall quality of public sector financial information. Those are essential part for good governance and sustainable development. And we would like to take this opportunity to express our appreciation to the World Bank for its continued partnership and collaboration with the ASEAN Federation of Accountants in promoting professional excellence and public value across the region. Without further ado, let us begin our program by a warm welcome from ALPHA Executive Director, Bapak Janwarto Alamsyah. The screen is yours.
Thank you, Mbak Monica. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our participants joining us today from around the globe for this critical webinar. The title is Reshaping Professional Accountancy Organizations to Support Public Financial Management, Public Sector Reporting. I'm delighted to welcome you on behalf of the ASEAN Federation of Accountants, or renowned as AFA. Special welcome to our partners from the World Bank, Bu Jiwanka Wikramasinghe, Lead Financial Management Specialist, and Bu Patricia McKenzie, Practice Manager, Financial Management, East Asia and Pacific Region World Bank. And also Bu Novira Asra, thank you for your leadership in this vital area, and thanks for making this event happening today. And of course, to our distinguished speakers, we are honored to have you share experiences. Mr. Michael Puskarik, Dr. Alex Fabian Teixeira, Dr. Heri Subowo, Tan Boon Xiong. So all of them are our distinguished speakers today who are willing to share their expertise and their insights to us in this very precious moment. Our goal today is clear: to gain a broad understanding of how PAOs can become the integral architects of public sector reporting reform. This is not just about financial reports, it's about extending our professional mandate to encompass the full spectrum of accountability, including the rapidly growing field of sustainability reporting. So this webinar offers a unique opportunity for policymakers, PAOs, and practitioners to exchange experiences, learn global good practices, and strengthen the collaboration necessary to advance public financial management. So over the next hour, you will gain valuable insights into the institutional frameworks that drive successful reform and the crucial steps needed for the ongoing professionalization of public sector accountants to ensure these reforms are sustainable. Our discussion today features experiences from 3 continents, North America, South America, and Asia, each offering distinct and powerful lessons. First, we will hear from Michael Puskarik, CPA Canada. Michael will walk us through Canada's decade-long journey to accrual accounting and public reporting modernization. CPA Canada's experience highlights the essential needs for a long-term focus and the power of collaborative engagement with government to secure buy-in. Their key benefit is clear, improved transparency, comparability, and accountability of government reporting. Next, Dr. Alex Fabian Teixeira of the Brazilian National Treasury Secretariat will share Brazil's equally compelling transition from a cash-based to an accrual-based approach. He will detail their process of converging their standards and BCTSP toward IPSAS principles. Importantly, he will discuss the crucial role of the professional accounting organization CFC in setting standards and the multi-level complexity of achieving national consolidation across over 5,500 municipalities, demonstrating high rates of coverage through their digital platform, SciConfi, if I am not mistaken to pronounce it. Our focus then shifts to regional leadership here in Southeast Asia. We are delighted to welcome Dr. Heri Subowo from the Ikatan Akuntan Indonesia or IAI. Dr. Heri will provide an overview of the impactful work of IAI's public sector accountants compartment. IAI's experience demonstrates how PAO can directly contribute to accountability, including by offering specialized certifications like CGAA and CGAE to build competence, a key strategy for the sustainability of reforms, and Indonesia journey shows tangible success, with the central government financial statement achieving 98% unqualified opinion rate by 2025, reflecting the effectiveness of their push to accrual accounting since 2015. Finally, Tan Boon Siong from the Accountants General Department Singapore will pivot our conversations to the future, the use of information, and the need for sustainability reporting. Mr. Tan will showcase how Singapore is using the whole of government finance data analytics platform and mandatory ISSB based climate related disclosures for its statutory boards to drive accountability and transparency in a new era of public financial management. In short, this is a discussion about how PAOs can fulfill their potential as vital partners to governments. I look forward to the rich insights and collaborative learning this session will provide. Thank you, and let us begin. Over back to you, Monica.
Thank you, Pak Toto, for your warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, next I would like to invite Ibu Patricia McKenzie, Practice Manager Financial Management East Asia and Pacific Region World Bank, to deliver the keynote speech. Ibu Patricia, the screen is yours.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Morning in some areas, evening in others. It is an honor to address you today on the critical topic of strengthening public sector reporting and the indispensable role of professional accountancy organizations in this endeavor. Public sector reporting is not merely a technical exercise. It is a cornerstone of good governance, transparency, and accountability. It is a foundation upon which trust between governments and citizens is built, and it plays a pivotal role in ensuring sustainable development. Today, I will focus on three key areas. Firstly, why robust public sector reporting is critical, including its financial and sustainability dimensions. Secondly, the latest global developments and trends in public sector reporting and in the supporting areas of education and assurance. And finally, the vital role of professional accountancy organizations in advancing this agenda. As has just been explained, we have esteemed speakers on this call, and they would be the ones to tell us about the latest global developments and trends. So I will not dwell on this because we have rich content following. but I will spend some time at the end on the vital role of professional accountancy organizations. I'll refer to them as PAOs in the future, since many of them have taken the time to join us online. So very quickly to recap, why is robust public sector reporting critical? And what are some of those important elements? The first one is on public sector financial reporting, and then I will touch briefly on sustainability reporting and rely on our esteemed panel to expound on this. On the side of financial reporting, governments and public sector entities manage vast amounts of resources on behalf of their citizens. Robust financial reporting is an enabler for these resources to be used effectively, efficiently, and transparently, and to align with the policy objectives set by the government. Financial statements provide a clear picture of the government's financial statement, their performance, their cash flows, and it therefore facilitates informed decision-making by policymakers and oversight by citizens and oversight groups. On the reverse or flip side, the absence of high-quality financial reporting can lead to inadequate or incorrect decisions, mismanagement, corruption, and even fiscal crises when the decisions that are not made on the basis of accurate information. The adoption of accrual-based accounting standards, such as the International Public Sector Accounting Standards, after now referred as IPSAS, is a significant step forward in providing the tools and techniques for accurate decision-making. Nevertheless, there are still many innovations that are being made in the public domain and in governments, and as we said, we will hear some of them. Basic accrual accounting provides a comprehensive view on the government's financial health, including its liabilities and its contingent liabilities, which are often hidden under cash basis systems. The second area which we will delve into today is on public sector sustainability reporting. This is what is a mix between an innovation and something that has been practiced in many developed nations for many years. However, it's an open agenda, and the sooner that we come to grips with some of the challenges of its implementation, the better. While basic financial reporting in IPSAS is essential, it is no longer sufficient in isolation. The challenges of climate change, social inequity, and resource depletion requires that governments also report on their efforts and their sustainability performance in the areas of environmental, social, and governance, herein referred to as ESG. Sustainability reporting has gone through many different iterations, and now it has become critical for fundraising. It's no longer optional, nice to do, good to have. Many investors are deciding on their investment choices on the basis of the extent to which potential investments are being supported by sustainable and what we say as morally responsible choices. Increasing reliance on green bonds, on sustainability-linked loans, and other innovative financial instruments are making it not only essential, but critical to publication of sustainability information. As we said, it is no longer an option, but almost an imperative. Recent green bonds in Brazil, in India, in North Macedonia, and Turkey, a blue bond in Fiji, and Chile's first sovereign sustainability-linked bond are good practice examples of the way in which sustainability reporting has now come to the fore as part of market operation and exchanges. Therefore, transparent and credible sustainability reporting standards enhance investor confidence and reduces the cost of capital to ensure that funds are directed towards impactful projects. I would not dwell on the latest global trends, other than to mention them because this is the subject of today. But in addition to adoption of accrual accounting and sustainability reporting, which I have just mentioned, there are also innovations happening in the audit sphere on assurance and accountability, on education and capacity building, on regulatory initiatives and national practices, some of which you will hear today from Brazil. There are others in New Zealand, in Switzerland, and in the UK. Finally, the imperative is towards digital transformation, and advances in technology are revolutionizing public sector reporting. Digital tools such as blockchain and artificial intelligence are enhancing the accuracy, the timeliness, and the accessibility of financial and sustainability reports. And finally, last but not least, today is bringing to the fore the role of the professional accountancy organizations in this transition. I see the PAOs, as we call them, at the heart of strengthening public sector reporting. It is not just the development partners and governments that can do this. We cannot do it without the critical role of the PAOs. And I would say that there are actually 4 important things, and with this I will close. We rely on a sound and rigorous standard setting and advocacy activity from the PAOs. The second one that we will be relying strongly on PAOs for is on capacity building and training of its members. The third thing is on promoting accountability and ethics within the practitioners themselves, and collaboration between and among PAOs on knowledge sharing. In conclusion, robust public sector reporting is not just a technical necessity, it is a moral imperative. It underpins good governance, it fosters trust, and ensures that governments are accountable to their citizens. As we navigate the challenges of the 21st century, including climate change and economic uncertainty, the importance of transparent and comprehensive reporting cannot be overstated. Finally, I am delighted that we have the opportunity to hear firsthand from actual cases. And this is how we would continue along this line, through knowledge sharing, from learning from each other, and strengthening our practices in our various areas. This is an important aspect for PAOs and a way forward for the development community to support their growth and development. Therefore, let us work together to strengthen public sector reporting and in so doing, to build transparent, accountable, and a sustainable future for all. On behalf of the World Bank, I want to thank you for your participation in this event, and I pass back to our to AFA to continue to moderate the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibu Patricia, for your keynote speech. And now I would like to invite Ibu Patricia, Pak Toto, Michael, Alex, Bun Xiong, Bapak Heri Subowo, and Jiwangka to open your camera for a group picture. On my 3, ladies and gentlemen, 1, 2, and 3. Another one. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you very much. Let us continue our webinar today. Before we proceed to the panel discussion, let me read you the housekeeping matters during this webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, presenters, panelists, and participants, please kindly keep your microphone on mute unless you are invited to speak. Participant, please post your question via Zoom chat. throughout the entire session. This question will be addressed during the panel discussion. Please kindly refrain from using raise hand function. Participant, please kindly complete our post-event survey and provide your feedback to our webinar today. A link to the survey will be provided to you towards the end of the webinar, and this webinar is being recorded. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to start our panel discussion with the theme is Reshaping PAO to support public financial management. Again, the session will be delivered by Michael Puskarik, Alex Fabian Texiera, Tan Bon Xiong, Bapak Heri Subowo, and the moderator for the session is Ibu Jiwangka. And now I will hand over the session to Ibu Jiwangka.
All right, thank you very much, and good morning and good evening to everyone. So it's my privilege to serve as the moderator for this session. And thanks again to AFA for inviting the World Bank to jointly organize this webinar with you on this very important topic. The keynote address provides a broad perspective, which also then provides a good segue to then going into the individual country cases. And we have a very distinguished panel with us to have this discussion. The panelists have been introduced before, so I will not go into another introduction again, but I'll just delve into the questions that we are posing to the panelists. And we have about 40 minutes for this discussion. And as Monica said, thereafter, we will have a Q&A. So please do post your questions on the chat, and we will pick the questions from the chat during the Q&A session. All right, so the first question is to Michael from CPA Canada. So as we heard before, Canada public sector has been involved in accounting reforms for many years now. And they have moved to accrual accounting many years back. And CPA Canada has played a foundational role in modernizing public sector reporting. So the question to you, Michael, is if you can describe to us the role that CPA Canada has played in each of the key phases of this reform journey that the Canada public sector has undertaken. What are some of the critical success factors for this long-standing partnership between CPA Canada and the public sector, how it grew over time, and some of the lessons that you can share with this audience? So Michael, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Jamanka. I would like to thank AFA and the World Bank very much for inviting me to this webinar. So thank you for having me. As Jamanka said, I'm just going to upload to the screen here a very brief PowerPoint that will cover a couple of the key points regarding Canada's journey to accrual accounting. So if you'll just bear with me for 1 second here, I'll start my presentation. Should be able to see that now. So I thought I would just start out very briefly with a slide about the Canadian landscape to give you some context of the environment that Canada operates in, and just very briefly understanding that Canada is a confederation of sovereign governments. So we have 10 provinces, 10 sovereign provinces, 2 territories, and a sovereign federal government. We also have 3 branches of government. We have the federal government, we have the provincial governments, and we have municipal governments. And we also have over 600 Indigenous governments right across Canada. So that's a complex landscape that we need to navigate. We have independent standard-setting bodies in Canada. So we have 4 independent boards. We have the Public Sector Accounting Board that I'm talking about today. We have the Accounting Standards Board that essentially deals with private sector accounting. We have the Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, and we have a separate board relatively recently created in the last 2 years, the Canadian Sustainability Standards Board that deals with sustainability standards. So we have 4 independent boards in Canada. And standard setting is independent of the government in Canada. and it is supported by the profession, CPA Canada, the PAOs, as you would say. So it supports standard setting in Canada. It provides resources, it provides funding, but it supports it very much at an arm's length. So it provides funding, it provides resources, but it does not get involved in terms of the board's plans, the strategic plans, or decisions that the boards make on standard setting. That's a fairly unique model, but that's the model that Canada has had for over 30 years. And as Javanka mentioned, Canada has quite a rich history in terms of developing accounting standards. Over 30 years, in fact, probably closer to 40 years, Canada has in terms of a standard setting and developing accounting standards. And on the public sector side, it's important to note that all governments and all government organizations adopt the same public sector accounting standards. So we have the federal government, the provincial governments, all of the municipal governments, as well as the government not-for-profits, the universities, the colleges, the hospitals, as well as the school boards and some museums adopt public sector accounting standards. So we've got a broad base of stakeholders that adopt public sector standards in Canada. As a brief note on the landscape, I'm just going to talk high level here about Canada's journey to accrual accounting because I think it sets a little context as well. So if we go back to 1980s, in the 80s in Canada, the federal and provincial governments, they operated under their own independently legislated accounting standards. They had their own accounting standards, and it was different between each one of the provinces and the federal government. And that's when the Public Sector Accounting Board was created. And in the 1990s, the federal and provincial governments adopted accrual-based public sector accounting standards. Canada was very much a leader in terms of developing accrual-based standards. It had started to develop a very robust set of accounting standards, which the federal government and the provincial governments, which we call the senior governments, adopted in the 1990s. In and around 2000, the 3,700 municipalities took on accrual accounting in Canada and adopted public sector accounting standards. Then in around 2010, the government not-for-profits came on and adopted public sector accounting standards. And then in 2020, PSAB did make a decision on its approach to international public sector accounting standards, or IPSAS, which I'll talk about in a moment. So the decision, after a very robust consultation, after 2 consultation papers, a lot of feedback from our interested and affected parties across Canada, in 2020, PSAB selected what we call option 2. We put out a bunch of options to the public, and we selected option 2 that we were going to adapt the international public sector accounting principles when developing future standards. And I'll explain briefly here. Canada already had a very robust set of accounting standards already developed and implemented in Canada. Canada also had many standards developed before the international standards developed their standards, and then the international standards very much caught up and have a full robust set of standards. But over the years, Canada had many standards that the international standards did not have. So Canada was already dealing with a very mature standard setter. So the decision that Canada made was very much a go-forward strategy. It would, when taking on a future standard, it would look to the international standard and it would base its standard on the principles of the international standard, very much a go-forward strategy. It would also make any adaptations if needed. It developed what we call a criteria for modifying standards. So if there were any criteria, if there were any reasons that were in the Canadian public interest to modify, it has the ability to modify. So Canada is going forward, it's basing its new standards on IPSAS, but it is not sort of a retroactive standard. It's just more of a gradual approach going forward. And I just will share a couple of the key learnings of Canada's journey to accrual. And I think a few things were mentioned earlier in the keynote speech that I think really resonated for Canada. And I think it's important to have a long-term focus. If you can look back, I kind of showed the timeline. It went back to the 1980s, and it requires a long-term focus. It's taken quite a bit of time to get all the government, all the levels of government in Canada on the same set of accrual-based standards. And it's important to be very collaborative and get their buy-in, and that takes time. I would just note briefly that CPA Canada, so our accounting body, has played a pivotal role. And I talked about sort of more of a direct role in terms of providing resources, providing funding, but there's also a sort of a more indirect role that it played in terms of capacity building, education, thought leadership. I think has been really, really key, as well as some help in terms of providing some implementation guidance. Over time, if you kind of look back, I mean, key benefits really, Patricia talked about it very, very well in the keynote speech: improved transparency, comparability, understandability, and really, ultimately the accountability of governance. And all of that contributes to good governance over the long term, which I think is really, really key. And I'll make a note here just on the international strategy, the adoption of the international strategy. And I understand the Canadian model is a little different than some of the other models around the world. But a few key learnings that we've come to understand from the international strategy. International influence is important. So setting aside resources and time to influence the international standards is very important, so that the point of view, in our case, of Canadian issues are put forward and considered when the international standards are being developed. The earlier, the better. We do so in terms of, we have a Canadian board member. We do so in terms of responding to the international documents for comment in other ways. So that's a very critical element as well that I wanted to mention. And some of the key benefits that we're finding in terms of our approach to international standards is really improving the time to market. We did develop our standards previously from scratch. We had our own custom-built development standards. And now we begin with an international standards and make adaptations if needed. And that's certainly a quicker process we're finding than starting building from scratch. So I realize I'm probably at my time, so I'm going to stop there and pass it back to you, Jivanka.
Thank you very much, Michael. So it's a very impressive level of adoption of public sector standards. And certainly you did provide some food for thought going forward for our PAOs in AFA. So let's now move to, let's see who we are moving to. Well, let's now move to Alex from Brazil, from the National Treasury Secretariat. So Brazil has also been undergoing a significant transition from cash-based to accrual-based approach on accounting and reporting, and we heard the significance of accrual-based accounting. So Alex, if you can take us through your interesting journey, what opportunities do you see for the professional accountancy organizations in Brazil in supporting you in this journey, and also generally what has been your journey moving from cash basis to accrual basis of accounting? So Alex, over to you.
Thank you, Jivanka. I want to say thanks to APA and World Bank to invite me and to having me today. It's a great pleasure to be here with you to share a little bit of Brazil journey in our convergence process. I will share with you some slides. Let me show you. Okay. Before we begin with the technical aspects, let me briefly take you to one of the most iconic places in Brazil. We call the Christ the Redeemer statue. Let me continue here. Standing high above the city of Rio de Janeiro, with the Sugarloaf Mountain in the background. Sorry. This image for us represents not only Brazil's natural beauty, but also its the diversity, resilience, and openness of our people. It's a symbol of connection, arms wide open to the world, just as we have opened our public sector to international cooperation and transparency reforms. Now, to give you an idea where we are located, if you draw a line between Brasilia, our capital, and Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia, the distance is more than 6,000 kilometers or roughly 10,000 miles. And yet, despite the distance, our two nations share common goals as advancing good governance, accountability, and sustainable development. That is precisely what the IPSAS convergence process is about, connecting nations through shared values and transparent reporting. To understand our convergence process, it's essential to start with Brazil's unique federal structure. We are a large and complex country composed of 26 states, a federal district, and more than 5,500 municipalities. And we have a federal government too, each one with political, administrative, and financial autonomy guaranteed by our constitution. Every level of government has its own budget, its own administration, and its own accounting system. This diversity is both a strength and a challenge. It means we have multiple realities to align under one national accounting framework. In addition, Brazil has 33 independent court of accounts, which audit government entities and evaluate compliance with accounting standards. Another layer of complexity is ensuring harmonization across the federation. To the next image I want to share with you, let me show another image that represents the beauty of and vibrance of Brazil. Copacabana Beach, I think you know about it, in Rio de Janeiro, is one of the most beaches of the world, a symbol of our Brazilian lifestyle, where people from different backgrounds come together and to enjoy music, sports, and community life. You might recognize it from the classic song, The Girl from Ipanema, which became an ambassador of our culture across the world. In a way, just as the waves of Copacabana connect the ocean to the shore, our work in public sector account connects local realities to international standards, bringing unity through transparency and shared purpose. Our reform path began almost three decades ago. Back in 1997, the first discussion about modernizing government accounting started. In 2000, we introduced the Fiscal Responsibility Law, a cornerstone for fiscal transparency and accountability. Then in 2008, the Minister of Finance issued the Act number 184, which formally established the convergence of public sector accounting international standards. The following year, Decree 6976 created a unified federal accounting system to promote standardization and IPSAS convergence. And in 2015, through Act 548, we began a gradual implementation process across all states and municipalities. These were important steps in institutionalizing accrual-based accounting and building the foundation for fiscal comparability across the country. At the heart of this reform, two elements were essential: the National Chart of Accounts, known as PCASP, and the CCONF system. The PCASP is our chart of accounts, serves as the backbone of account harmonization across Brazil. It ensures that all states and municipalities record and classify their transaction in a standardized way, using the same concepts and structures. These allow us to compare financial data from thousands of entities and to speak a common accounting language across the federation. Meanwhile, CCONF, our account and fiscal information system for the federation, acts as the central hub for collecting accounting and fiscal information from every state and municipality. It's a fully digital platform based on XBRL taxonomy, which enables automatic transmission and validation of data. Through SICONFI, the National Treasury can consolidate, analyze, and publish financial statements and fiscal reports, ensuring transparency and reliability. Together, the PCASP and SICONFI form the technical and technological infrastructure for Brazil IPSAS convergence. They transform accounting standards from theory into practice, from the local level to the national level, providing a unified view of public finances through all the federation. Now, such an ambitious process requires collaboration. Let me briefly highlight the main players involved. The National Treasury leads the standard setting and consolidation process. We develop the Public Sector Accounting Handbook and monitor its implementation. The Federal Accounting Council represents the professional accountants organization in Brazil, issuing national public sector accounting standards harmonized with IPSAS. The CITICONF, which I coordinate, is a technical advisor chamber composed of representatives from all levels of government. It plays a key role in dialogue and consensus building. And finally, our Court of Accounts, public managers, and policymakers ensure the application of standards, allocate resource, and monitor compliance. The network of collaboration is what has made convergence possible. The MCASP is our public sector account handbook, is one of our major achievements. It provides comprehensive guidance, including budget accounting procedures, accrual accounting principles, accounting for specific operation, the National Chart of Account, and public sector financial statement. This handbook has become a reference not only within Brazil, but also in Latin America. It embodies our technical dialogue with the international community and the IPSASB. Our convergence model combines international alignment with national adaptation. Rather than adapting IPSAS directly, we translate and contextualize them through national standards, the NBCTSPs issued by the Federal Council, which are then operationalized by the Treasury through the MCASP and its systems such as SICONFI. This integrated design allows Brazil to respect its federal diversity while maintaining consistency with global practice. Before we move it to how this information used, let me take you on a short view journey to Bonito, a breathtaking city in the central west region of Brazil near the Pantanal. Bonito is famous for its crystal clear rivers, caves, and waterfalls, and true natural paradise. This region represents transparency and balance with nature, and I believe it beautifully symbolizes what we seek in public sector accounting: clarity, harmony, and sustainability. Just as the water of Bonito reveals every details beneath the surface, high-quality accounting information allows citizens and decision makers to see clearly into the public finance of the nation, building trusty and guiding responsible policy. But convergence is not only a technical exercise. It's about how accounting information is used. Today, financial data are essential for the annual national consolidation of accounts, debt approval, and monitoring of subnational governments, public finance statistics in line with IMF, GFSM, and fiscal transparency to strengthen citizen trust. In other words, IPSA's convergence has become a foundation for evidence-based policymaking and social control. At this stage, it's important to highlight one key result of this process. Nearly 100% of Brazilian states and municipalities now regularly submit their accounting and fiscal information through SICONFI. This level of participation is extraordinary in a country as large and decentralized as Brazil. It reflects not only the technical capacity built over the years, but also a growing culture of transparency and accountability across the federation. With almost full coverage, SICONFI has become one of the most comprehensive public sector financial databases in the world, enabling accurate national consolidation and support better fiscal management. Thanks to this effort, Brazil is now able to consolidate data from over 505,000 entities into a unified public sector balance sheet. This enables comparability, improves fiscal analysis, and supports our international commitments, including OECD, IMF frameworks. Before we move to the next steps, let me show you one last image that capture the sense of Brazil's natural and institutional diversity, the Amazon rainforest. The Amazon is the heart of our environmental heritage, home of extraordinary biodiversity and countless interconnected ecosystems, just as our public sector is composed of thousands and interconnected entities working together for one unified purpose. Those colorful macaws living in harmony amid the immense diversity remind us of the importance of balance, coordination, and sustainability. The same principles that guide our fiscal and accounting convergence. They represent the beauty of cooperation where each voice, each entity contributes to a large, transparency and sustainable picture of the nation. Looking ahead, our next step include advancing through accrual adoption, expanding training and capacity building, strengthening the interpretation between financial and non-financial information, including sustainability and climate-related disclosures, and deepening collaboration with professional accounting organizations. This brings me directly to the question about opportunities for professional accounting organizations in Brazil. The convergence process has created new opportunities for Brazil professional body, especially to DCFC, our federal council, and the regional councils. They play a vital role in training public sector accountants to understand and apply accrual concepts, developing professional ethics and certification aligned with international expectation, promoting research and innovation in public financial management, and supporting sustainability reporting as the next frontier of transparency. Through closer collaboration with the National Treasury, these organizations can continue to bridge the gap between global standards and local practice, ensuring that public sector accounting remain not only technically robust, but also socially relevant. To conclude, Brazil Convergence journey is a story of cooperation, perseverance, and shared vision. We have learned that standard setting is not only about rules, it's about people, institution, and trust. And with the continued support of our professional accountants organization, we will keep strengthening transparency, accountability, and good governance, not just for Brazil, but as part of broader global community in pursuing sustainable public finance. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Alex, not just for the very rich presentation, but also sharing very interesting facts and pictures of Brazil. So I think it's very interesting how you've explained things coming together, the foundations being laid to make this journey successful, from systems to guidance to collaboration, and also the role that PAOs play. And you also mentioned the link between Brazil and Indonesia. So let's now move to Indonesia. So we have a panel member from Indonesia. We have Harry, who will explain to us the very interesting institutional arrangements in place at IAI, which is the Institute of Indonesia Chartered Accountants. IAI has made a concerted effort to focus on public sector accounting, on the public sector, by establishing this public sector accountants compartment, which he is the chair of. So if you can provide us with an overview of this compartment, how it contributes to public sector reporting and its plans for the future. And also what advice you would give other PAOs in the region in enhancing their role in the public sector. So Harry, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Jiwanka. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Honorable Bapak Janwarto Alamsyah, Ibu Patricia McKenzie, honorable speakers, Mr. Michael Puskarik from Canada, Mr. Alec Fabian from Brazil, and Mr. Tan Boon Siong from Singapore, and also Ibu Jiwanka as moderators, all accountant college and participant in these webinars. Thank you for having me in this important webinar to share Indonesia perspective and experience in reshaping a professional accountancy organization to support public sector reportings. I will explain an overview of our professional accountancy organizations, how it contributed to public sector reportings, and its plans for the futures. Hopefully, it could advise other PAOs in the Asian regions to enhance their role in the public sector. But before we begin with that issues, I will give you a walkthrough of Indonesia journey in public sector reportings and the progress of its quality based on SAI audit opinions over the last 20 years, start from 2006 to 2024, as a strategic context of our contributions. This is a brief timeline showing how Indonesia's public sector reporting evolved from legacy practices to full accrual, standardized system, and stronger audit outcomes. Indonesia's accountability journeys runs from legacy practice in 1945. We ratified first state budget report in 1967. And in 1991, Minister of Finance issued a decree on the government accounting systems. This is the first used to prepare state financial accountability. And in 1998, the crisis hits, and we start national reforms, including state financial reforms. The Asian financial crisis triggered reforms and push to change in public financial management. And in 2003 to 2004, we get the state financial laws package, the new package of laws. This is overhaul public financial management in our country. In 2005, there are government regulations regarding cash toward accrual accounting standard. Yeah, and we start make financial statement for governments. In 2009, accrual information is made in the budget resolution statement. And we have full accrual accounting standard issued in 2010. And start from 2015, the full implementation of accrual accounting standard throughout the ministries and also the local governments. And at in 2016, the government first get the unqualified opinions for the central government financial statements. The government also implement the institution level of government accounting application systems. We call it SACTI in 2020, in 2022. And finally, it arrived at 2024 result, where almost 100% of central government financial statements and also 90% of local government financial statements get the unqualified opinion. Next, please. Yeah. We have 86 ministries and agencies at the central government levels, and about 546 local governments consisting of provincial, municipality, and cities. If we see the charts, it shows that steady improvement in audit opinions for Indonesia's government's financial statements. For the central ministry and agency at the left side of our charts, unqualified opinions rose from single digit in 2006 to 98% entities in 2024, while qualified and disclaimer opinions fell to low single digit and at first disappeared. For local governments at the right side chart, unqualified opinions climbed to about 90% of all the entities, with the qualified opinion dropping from over 300 to 53, and disclaimers down from 105 to only 1, and at first it's 0. In short, we conclude that more entities now get unqualified opinions, and non-clean opinions have dropped sharply. Behind these opinion improvements, I think, among other things, is the significant contribution of the IAI, the Institute of Indonesia Chartered Accountants. I will explain later after this about the IAI. Next, please. IAI, we are a nationwide professional body of almost 40,000 members, spanning from public sectors, business, public practice, education, tax, internal audits, Sharia, and others. We are organized through advisory, governing, and supervisory boards. We also supported by 34 regional offices from all over the provincial levels, and there are 6 professional accountant compartments, including public sector accountant compartments. Those compartments are public sector, business sector, tax, educators, Sharia, and accounting service firms. We have also technical function boards, which is regarding standard, certifications, disciplines, quality review, ethics, implementation of standard, and also sustainable standard board. It gives us the tools to drive capacity building and a stronger contribution in public sector reporting. Next, please. Yeah, this is our strategic plan with what we call it next for success goals. Yeah, we have 4 goals to strengthen the profession, grow public confidence, expand legal protection and professional practices, and improve our governance organizations. We also have 4 main pillars. Its delivery runs through 4 pillars, members and certifications. The second is public trust and accountability. The third is legal protection and professional developments. And the fourth about organization and cooperations. Our plan is guided by the first achievement strategy, focused, innovative, responsive, synergy, and sustainable, with risk management for strategic and operational threat also. Next, please. Yeah, this is the central part of our discussions about our professional accountancy organization contribution to public sectors. We support especially through the public sector accountant compartments. Yeah, we support the public sector in 4 ways. The first one is through government accounting standard developments. In this SIM, our president serves on the consultative committees of government accounting standard committees. We also give feedback on exposure draft of the standard. We help to disseminate a new standard. And also we join international IPSAS discussion for further adoption or adaptation of new standard. The second is through government policy implementations. We run accountants goes to village, yeah, where the accountants go to the village to assist village funds reporting. Yeah, we also support transparent political campaign reporting for the political party in general elections. We also work with the Anti-Corruption Commission on UNCSC recommendation formulation. And we also draft policy briefs for improving public service agencies management. And the third one is regarding professional competency developments. We provide certifications that's already mentioned by Pak Toto, CGAA, Certified Government Accounting Associate, and CGAE, Certified Government Accounting Expert. Yeah, we deliver in-house training and professional educations. We also send practitioners to teach on campus, what we call it IAI goes to campus. We host dialogues on state financial management. We run regional public sector conferences. And also we organize online discussion for many topics of financial management. And lastly, we build stakeholder relationships. Yeah, we collaborate with many government entities as our key stakeholders, which is General Election Commissions, Supreme Audit Institutions, government internal auditors, some ministries, and some local governments, and also university. Yeah. In short, this relationship create a full pipeline from policy to skill to implementation. Next slide, please. Yeah, this slide shows us a three-way loop among 3 parties. Yeah, in developing and implementation of the standard. The standard setters, the professional accountancy organization, which is IAI, and government as users. The standard setters or government accounting standard committees first formulate draft of public sector accounting standards and we advises government accounting standard committees some improvement of some adjustments, some issues to finalize the standard. After the standard is formally issued, we then use the standard and turns those standards into competence standard. We turn from accounting standard to competence standard for the people who manage the accounting and reporting process. And we also use it to update our certification training materials. Yeah. And then government will use accounting standard through guidelines. Yeah. And then they must need competent people to run the guidelines and to obey the standard. And then the competency will be supplied and upskilled through our certification and training program. And at the implementation stages, we sure that implementation problems can arise from the field, and this is used to as a feedback, yeah, to us and to the committee for to improve the next round of standards, to update and to develop the new standard, or to revise the standard based on the challenge faced in the implementation phase. Next. Yeah. Talking about certification for our public sector financial reportings, yeah. Since 2012, we have run public sector certifications. It was revised in 2019 to our new certifications, CGAA and CGAE, with more than 2,000 exam participations and 2007 graduates so far. Yeah, the certification is offered every month. Yeah, and the program build practical skills. Yeah, how to review and analyze government financial reports, how to evaluate internal controls, how to understand planning and budgeting as part of the state financial management. And the graduates can also prepare and present transparent, accountable, and also good financial statements, both for central and local governments, which is in line with the accrual accounting standards. And this created steady pipelines of competent public sector accountants.
I think we
Next.
are.
Yeah.
I think we are sort of getting closer to the time that we need to wrap up. So I think some of these you have an opportunity also to explain during the Q&A, because there are some specific questions that we.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to share Indonesia journeys. The message is simple: strong laws, clear standard, capable people, and practical tools can lift the quality of public reporting. Thank you.
Thank you very much for explaining both the very strategic approach and also a very comprehensive approach to moving to supporting the public sector. So as I said during the Q&A, I think we can hear more, because there were some very specific questions regarding skill building and so on, which your presentation was touching on. So let's move to Singapore. So as the keynote speaker mentioned, we are now looking at more than the accrual accounting. We're looking at we're looking at sustainability reporting. So we do have our speaker from Singapore, where we will be discussing the use of information and also on sustainability reporting. So the question to you is, how is Singapore's public sector leveraging data analytics and sustainability reporting to drive accountability and transparency? And we heard a lot about accountability and transparency in the previous presentations. And what lessons can you share with us today? So over to you, Mr. Seow.
Thank you very much. Grateful for the opportunity to be able to be here to exchange ideas with everyone. Would you be able to help me to share my slides? Yeah. So just a brief introduction. I'm from the Accountants General Department in Singapore. We are we're one of the departments within the Ministry of Finance. So I understand that there's some interest on the data analytics and sustainability reporting. So I'll just start with data analytics. So our data analytics journey began at around 2016, at least in terms of the whole government approach. I think before that, there would have been public sector agencies or government ministries that have already done their own kind of analytics kind of platform. But 2016 is the time where we really kind of started on this whole government approach in terms of finance data analytics. So as a bit of background, AGD, the Accountants General Department, AGD, manages quite a number of financial and payroll systems on behalf of the whole government. So our systems are widely used by all ministries and organs of state, also used by the majority of statutory boards. These are kind of independent agencies that are formed by statutes, and they mainly carry out the policy or determined by the ministries and organs of state, ministries primarily. So we have been running all the systems for quite a number of years, and therefore we have lots of data. So the idea then in 2016, we were trying to address feedback that was taking a long time for people to have to generate reports and combine data to come out with reports for their management. So we were considering whether there was a better way for us to do this. And the idea was to bring together the various data sources. So we have financial systems, we have payroll systems where people are paid and then their claims. Then we have statutory board systems. So we went about building this whole government finance data hub that will through pipes on a mostly daily basis, pipe in the data from various data sources, primarily from the systems that we run. We put it into this data hub, and then on top of it, there is a business intelligence software. Currently, we are using MicroStrategy, and that was what we started since 2016. So from there, there's a lot of opportunities for agencies to be able to leverage on the data that has been standardized by us, cleaned by us, and refreshed by us on a daily basis to run their own reports, to look into various areas like payments, their capital assets, claims, payroll. But more importantly, in terms of because there's interest in transparency and performance management, because we are able, we combine all this data into the whole government finance data hub. We are able to present whole government dashboards or reports that can actually compare across agencies to see how they are performing in terms of various KPIs, such as how prompt are they in making payments to their vendors, how their numbers in terms of ratios, for example, expenditure per staff in certain areas, like, for example, transport claims, traveling expenditure, discretionary expenditure, such as entertainment. So that actually shines a lot of light on for management purposes, how agencies are optimizing their financial resources and running their finance functions. So that was our way of democratizing the data and trying to leverage on it to hop on this path of data analytics that is, of course, growing in momentum ever since quite a number of years back. And moving forward, we are constantly trying to get users to use more of our system, and also have to bring in new functionalities, new forms of data, so we have to keep them interested. So the buzzword today is AI. So we are also looking into how we can leverage on AI to help us in making the platform more useful. So one of those things that we are doing is whether we can adopt Gen AI technology to provide functions whereby users can, type in natural language query. So they just type in a sentence to find out about the data. The system, if it can recognize using any Gen AI, can hopefully recognize the intent of the person using the system, and then provide the information without the user having to go into the system to actually look for the right data fields to create the reports. And from there, the system can also react to their natural language queries to give them reports or dashboards that are relevant to them. Of course, it's not easy. We are still kind of working on it on the proof of concept, and but we're excited to go on this journey. Yeah. If you could, can we move to the next slide? So in terms of sustainability reporting, I must say that for the public sector, we are still quite early in this journey. We have, on the whole of government basis, we do have our colleagues from the Ministry of Sustainability and Environment prepare whole of government, what we call the Green Gov report, which is actually a climate report for the whole of government that is comprising of the government entities as well as statutory boards. However, for the statutory boards themselves, we are relatively new on the journey. Quite a few years back, we do have, since quite a few years back, we do have a number of statutory boards that have on their own started to prepare and publish sustainability reports, and it was a great initiative by them. So quite a handful of them have done so. They're using the GRI standard. So going forward, there's a lot of focus on climate action and all that. For corporates, we have also announced certain requirements for them to start reporting, and recently there was some adjustment of the timeline. So you could see from this slide the requirements for companies. So the STI constituents, so our stock market index, the Straits Times index, the constituent companies will have to present their sustainability reports based on the ISSB standards from FY 2025 onwards. So early next year, you should start to see, or after the first quarter, start to see some reports. We're quite excited to see how the reports coming out. And then there are different timelines for different types of companies, and large non-listed companies have until financial year 2030. So that sets the baseline for companies. So we also are studying what we should do for our statutory boards. Next slide. So actually, since a few years ago, we also started to require our statutory boards to prepare certain baseline disclosures on climate related disclosures. So we started small so that everyone could get used to the idea of preparing such reports and then have time to ramp up their capability. So these are quite basic disclosures, but we require all statutory boards to publish them. And so that has started since FY 2023. And so last year we had our first set of reports. So these disclosures are really basic, some basic governance structure for environmental sustainability, describe that, some of the indicators and the targets and the performance, and also for them to explain their policies and practices adopted to address environmental sustainability. So that's a small start we had for all statutory boards. Longer term, because companies will have a target date to publish their ISSB sustainability reports, we are also considering what we should do for our statutory board. So we recognize that there would be, or there may be interest from the public to know about sustainability practices of our statutory board. So we are actively looking into studying the various international standards, definitely including ISSB, to see what requirements we should have for our statutory boards. But it's also not just a matter of saying they should comply with this standard or that. There's also a journey to work with everyone to uplift everyone's capabilities. And we ourselves are also learning a lot on this relatively new area. But it's something that is exciting for us and definitely is relevant in terms of transparency and better management of everyone's resources. Thanks. I'll be happy to further exchange ideas with everyone during the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as you said, we are all learning, so let's learn together. So fascinating developments on the AI front. And in this call, we also have the World Bank Financial Management Specialist connected, and I'm sure they would be interested very much in these developments on the AI front and the use of data. So with that, let me thank the panelists again for sharing their experiences, and let's move on to the Q&A session. So we have some questions that are posted on the chat. So let me try to sort of combine some of these questions, but let's start with one broad question that was asked, which will set the stage for the rest of the questions. And that question is, why not move to accrual accounting directly? Why is it that it is a transition to accrual accounting, which we heard from Canada, we heard from Brazil? It is a process. So maybe I can invite Michael first and thereafter Alex to complement of why is it that it's a process, and maybe going forward, if there are new entities, would you consider directly sort of implementing accrual accounting in any of the new spending agencies? So Michael, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Jong, and thank you for the question. A very good question. And I tried to highlight in my presentation, in Canada, it was a lengthy process going back to the 1980s. And it was a process of getting the buy-in, both at the political level and at the actual practical level of implementation. So at that time, we had kind of the big governments, the senior governments, the federal government, the provincial governments, and the auditor generals were the first to kind of implement accrual accounting. Really, it came down to sort of this is where the large dollars are. This is where the resources are. These are where the big entities are. That's where kind of the push was to get the big entities on. The federal government has countless number of organizations. So that was a big task to just get the big entities on accrual accounting. Once that was done, then, it was possible to move to municipal governments. Generally speaking, are smaller entities. Then you can move to sort of government not-for-profits and other entities. So the process is large. It requires a lot of buy-in. It requires a lot of systems. It requires a lot of capacity, and it's an ongoing, gradual process that had to be put on. The second part of that question, briefly, I'll answer because it kind of touches a little bit on some of the learnings that Canada had throughout this process, and I've spoken to those that were involved in the process at the federal government level. And it is around accounting systems. And when they look back, they sort of asked, what would you do differently? And what you hear from the federal government is absolutely that, coming on accrual has huge benefits. At the time, though, when the big federal government started to adopt accrual accounting, it didn't mandate an accounting system for its government organizations, for its entities. It let each entity pick which accounting system it wanted to choose. In retrospect, this has caused issues because now you have lots of different accounting systems that don't talk to each other. And, probably in retrospect, it may have been advantageous to go with one system or at least few systems for all of the organizations. So that's a learning from Canada that I hear from the federal government. So hopefully that's helpful.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, Alex.
Joanka, in my point of view, to Brazil, accrual-based accounting was not adopted by a government from the beginning. I think mainly because the original purpose of public sector accounting was focused on control of cash and budget execution in Brazil, for example. Not on measuring financial performance or long-term assets. For us, historically, governments needed to ensure that public money was spent legally and within the approved budget. So cash accounting was sufficient to show where the money came from and where it went. So, in other words, the emphasis in Brazil was on compliance, fiscal discipline, not on transparency of assets, liabilities, or financial sustainability. So over time, as societies demanded more accountability and efficiency, and as public service became more complex, it became clear that cash information was not enough. So accrual accounting allows government to see the full cost of policies, for example, manage public assets and debt responsibly, and support evidence-based decision. So the move to accrual is part of our modernization process, I think. Shifting from merely tracking spending to managing public value. For us, it's not that governments were wrong at first, I think, or directly. It's that their objectives involved as expectation for transparency and performance increased. I think that's all.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing from both Michael and Alex is that it's important for governments to first understand the value of accrual accounting, which then automatically leads to their buying, which is absolutely critical for a reform of this nature, right? And for that, I think one of the key messages is that communication is a key. Knowledge sharing is key. And this is where the PAOs can play a significant role in educating governments on the value of accrual accounting. So I have to also acknowledge that the Brazil Professional Accountancy Organization is also connected to this meeting. And I'm also thinking that my colleague from the World Bank office in Brazil is also connected. So at any point, please do come in if you have anything to add, because this experience from outside the region is also very valuable, to this discussion. So I think this brings us to the challenges, right? So it's not a small task to implement accrual accounting. So there's a question on the resources that are needed. So what sort of resources are needed in order to successfully implement accrual accounting, and also the type of approach that one takes to build capacity, because I think, Michael, you mentioned that you need significant capacity to implement accrual accounting. So maybe we can move to Harry here, and then also open up to the other panel members if they would like to add, and also our colleagues and friends from Brazil who are connected as participants if they also would like to add anything. But Harry, over to you.
Yeah, I just want to add some practical issues about the reason why the governments didn't start on accruals. I think it is because the administrative capacity was limited. Yeah, we know that in accrual accounting practices, like building ledgers for receivables, payables, depreciations, and also provisions, it's will required trained people, trained staff, yeah, and also like consistent policies, accounting policies, I mean, and also strong internal control, effective and strong internal controls. So that's why this is the limitations for the early administration, I think, yeah. And also the data and systems were not ready at the times at the first early adoptions, yeah. And our budgets, it's also emphasized for annual appropriations, yeah, not suitable for accrual methods, accrual methods. And from the perspective of auditors, from the perspective of auditors, external or internal audits, the audit methodology or approach at the times still prioritize on compliance, not value for money, not for performance audits. So at the times, it is not worth it to implement the accrual accounting at the earlier stage of the implementations. I think that's my some more perspective for the reason why the government is not conducting the early adoption on accrual accounting standard.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And what sort of resources is allocated now in Indonesia to support the move to accrual accounting?
Yeah, we support the governments to improve or to build the capacity of the civil servants who manage the accounting process and also prepare the financial reporting. Yeah, and we conduct the training, we conduct the disseminations to give the civil servants have more knowledge and practice to implement the new standard of the accrual accounting standard. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else to add to that?
I might just jump in quickly here, and I think Harry outlined some great points, but I think I just wanted to highlight that it's a whole ecosystem that needs to be put into place here. You know, in the sense that there's a systems aspect to it. There's also getting the right information into the systems can be challenging. You know, capacity of having qualified accountants is really, really important. So that's where I see, you know, the accounting bodies really playing a key role. I think that we talked a little bit about this, getting the buy-in of the leadership and the politicians to invest in accrual accounting can be challenging because politicians, at least I'll talk to Canada, like to make announcements of new bridge or new healthcare, but talking about investing in a back office system or accrual accounting is not top of their mind. So you have to really make the case to the politicians to make sure that the investment comes in. And the other piece I'll just add here is that there's also a system of having legislative auditors in place. And the piece that, you know, the legislative auditors have to be there in order to audit the governments and, you know, provide those opinions. And that system has to be in place. So it's really a broad ecosystem that has to be in place. And if some of those elements are not there, it can be challenging to move to accrual.
Yes, point taken. Anyone else to add to that?
Yep,
If not,
I want to add some words, Joanka, from Brazil. For us, it's interesting to understand what the things works here. When a government, for example, begins a transition into accrual accounting and faces difficulties identifying, for example, or identifying challenges or valuing legacy assets, the keynote for us is not to start with numbers, but with structure and coordination. Because this, I said about our federation structure. If we didn't have a coordination process, I think we are failure to implement the accrual in Brazil. In this way, first, I think establish a conceptual framework, and the National Chart of Account was it was a great point for us. And I think the governments have to invest in information system similar to Brazil as SICONF, I think for us, the SICONF was the way that we can collect and organize data consistently across all entities. So, concluding my speech here, I think we have to adopt a gradual approach because we have to give time for our entities implement the accrual process and face all challenges of that.
Yes, thank you so much. And I think there was a question on identifying and valuing legacy assets. And I think, Alex, you responded to that it is through a very collaborative approach that you get this information. But we can, if time permits, we can delve into the valuation issue because that is a big issue when it comes to moving to accrual accounting. But before that, because we have the PAOs and skill building of the public sector is key here. Would anybody like to take the question on the certification programs that are available? I know, Eri, you touched on it in your presentation.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to elaborate a little more, I think there was a very specific question on the certification program.
Yeah, about the
duration and so on. But yeah,
thank you. About the certification of CGAA and CGAE, Certified Government Accounting Associate and Certified Government Accounting Experts. CGAA is the entry level, the entry level for staff preparing financial statements under our government accounting standard. And while CGAE, the expert one, this is for professional who prepare, review, and analyze and use the financial statement. This is including the internal control and also planning and budgeting. The exams will be in 2 sessions, and 2 level, After the participant pass the exams, they have to follow mandatory post level 2 training, about 12 hours trainings before they get the designations, and this is not only for the government servants, but also those other sectors, those as long as they are the member of IAI active, they can register and then join the exam, and if they pass the exams, level associate, and then continue to the level expert, and then they have to take 12 hours mandatory training, self-learning, and they get the CGAE. I think that's the detail of the certifications that we have.
Okay, I think that's very helpful. So you have a technical level and you have a professional level, and open to anyone. It's not just to those who are working in the public sector. So you don't require any experience, minimum experience to enroll in these. It's open to anyone. So in a way, you're building the pipeline for the public sector. So that's great. So
even we are pursuing the cooperation with the campus, with the university. And then we prepare the students can take the exams. So after the graduation, they graduate with the new certifications.
I see. Excellent. Excellent.
Can I come in, please, Jiwanka, please, on a follow-up? Yeah, my hand was up, but I don't think anybody can see it online.
No, sorry.
I just wanted to have a follow-on to Michael and also to Harry. So, as Michael said, there's a whole ecosystem. And I think one of the missing parts that we could probably crowd in on one of our next sessions is the private sector. In this sense that not only for the sustainability, but also for strengthening the PAOs themselves. Because a lot of the private sector, not only the government, suffer from this whole question of needing staff and technical competence. Now, in some of the bigger economies, it's not a problem. But the case that comes to mind is Timor-Leste, for instance, and I see Tita, our analyst from Timor, is online. We had to leverage the relationship with the IFC, the private sector arm of the World Bank. They were very interested in the work of the professional accountancy organization because they were saying that in terms of education and training, there was such a dearth of skills in the market that there was a very strong reliance on external skills. And we have the actual concrete experience of twinning with Indonesia in the sense that there are professionals going from Timor to participate in some of that Indonesia certification. So I think part of that ecosystem, we also have to look at knowledge exchange. We have a plethora of types of countries with whom we engage, the high-end, very developed, those in development, and those who have real capacity constraints. So how do we get those talking together and twinning? So I wanted to highlight Timor-Leste on this, and also the IFC. I think the IFC, for those of you who don't know, is the International Finance Corporation, which is a private sector arm of the World Bank Group. And they also have an interest. So maybe they might be willing to join with us in terms of supporting some of this collaboration and showing the importance of the PAO, not just for the public sector, but for strengthening the CADs of private sector and state-owned enterprises and those quasi-government institutions. I just wanted to raise my hand on that and to also highlight the experience in Timor-Leste. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pat. So final question before we wrap up the session is on sustainability reporting. So Mr. Boone, if you can take us through some of the challenges in incorporating the sustainability issues into government reports in Singapore. So look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, thanks very much for the question. In my mind, I think the sustainability reporting is very different from the financial reports that we are used to having, the accountants are used to preparing. So I think there are two main kind of challenges that cause difficulties in doing sustainability reporting that we will need to overcome. So I think firstly, sustainability reporting is at the end of the day focus on how an organization thinks it's going to be impacted by climate change, both in terms of physical risk and transition risk. And we would like to understand it, especially from a financial standpoint, how this will impact the balance sheet and the income and expenditure or P&L. Also, we may also want to have the inside out look perspective to see how to talk about the impact of the organization on the environment or other sustainability issues. So it is very much a forward-looking kind of report, a lot of projections. If you look at financial reporting, traditional financial reporting, you'll say it's largely historical. A lot of quite certain numbers, because there are certain rules that guide us, and you are relatively certain of the numbers. Maybe 80% are quite historical and relatively certain, and 20% are less because, for example, provisions or actual valuations of numbers like pension funds. But in terms of sustainability reporting, I guess you could even say that it has flipped. So it could be 80% projections, and definitely then it creates a higher level of difficulty. You have to project, you have to think about the scenarios of global warming, how that will impact your future. So that creates difficulty for everyone, whether it's the private sector or the public sector. And then, of course, the private sector, I think the adoption of sustainable reporting, I think, has been more pronounced in the private sector. I think there were some reports done by the KPMG or other Big Four organizations that most of the biggest companies have actually done some sort of sustainable reporting. So public sector agencies a bit less so. So it's a matter of getting up the ramping up capabilities. And even talking about ISSB, I think relatively new standards, I'm not sure which organization has actually prepared sustainability reports that are largely compliant with the ISSB. I think it's still a learning journey for everyone. We'll be seeing a lot of the first set of the inaugural set of ISSB compliance statements soon. So that will be interesting to look at. I think the second aspect of sustainability reporting that is challenging is that it's quite disciplinary. It's not just something that the accountants can get by through our current accounting system to come up with the numbers. You do rely to some extent on accounting systems, but you also need to tap on the work of and have collaboration with your colleagues from other parts of the organization, even up to HR, your engineering colleagues and all that, to come up with the numbers on emissions and all that. So we might not be very used to having to work with so many people to get all the information to come to a certain report. I guess the leaders of all organizations have to firstly identify who's going to be ultimately the one responsible, whether it's finance or the sustainability office that is created for this, or you have environmental engineers who lead the charge for this. After that, then whoever is in charge has to get close cooperation, get buy-in from everyone to be on this journey. And I think that is uniquely challenging, not just from a skill standpoint, but also from a soft skills standpoint of being able to work with everyone. So I think that's my perspective of why it's challenging. It's not just challenging for the public sector, I guess. It's challenging for everyone. Yeah, thanks.
So for sustainability reporting, I mean, we have a long ways to go, both in the private sector as well as the public sector. But great to hear that the initial steps have been taken by some of the countries that are representing this panel. So with that, let me thank all the panelists for the wonderful presentations and the great discussion. And as we said at the beginning, this is all about sharing information. So maybe if the panelists do agree, Monica can share their contacts with the participants, and they can, come to you with any questions that they have beyond what we discussed today. So with that, let me hand over to Monica to conclude this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jiwanka, for moderating this webinar. But before we close, let me take a group picture with all of the panelists, Ibu Patricia and also Bapak Januarto Alamsyah. On my three, ladies and gentlemen, 1, 2, and 3. Another one, 1, 2, and 3. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to give big round of applause for our panelists and also moderator. And then to all of the participants, we kindly invite you to complete our post-event survey, which will also serve as the requirement for your certificate eligibility. You may scan the barcode on your screen, or please visit the link that provide beside the barcode. I will drop the link to the chat box, so you can also just click on the link provided. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to also inform you that AFA will host the 24th AFA conference in Hanoi, Vietnam on 30 October 2025. This event will be hosted in hybrid. So should you want to join us online, please to kindly scan the registration link or visit the link provided on the screen. We will also share the details to you via email. And on behalf of AFA and World Bank, we would like to extend our heartfelt appreciation to all of our panelists, moderator, guests, and participants for being part of today's session. We truly appreciate your time and participation and hope this discussion will provide valuable insight and inspiration for your professional journey. My name is Monica Nabilia. It has been a great pleasure serving you as the host. Thank you, and we look forward to welcome you again at our future event. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Terima
Thank you, Pak
kasih,
Toto.
Thank you,
Juanka.
Bu.
Thank
kasih.
you, Bu
Ya,
Patricia. Thank you,
Terima kasih
Michael. Thank you,
semua. Thank you.
Alex.
Terima kasih,
Thank you,
Mbak.
Pak
Thank you,
Heri.
Dova.
Thank
See
you,
you
Monica.
again.
See you again.
See you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.